everyone. I'm Brian and I'm joined by Jayem today. We'll be doing PCL Season 6 Generations Draft Analysis. We'll be going over the teams from worst to best. Keep in mind, this is only to show you how to improve your teams. We're not going to break you down. All right, the first team we have here is the No Shoes with the Boston Celebi. He drafted an ice team.
We think.
Something like that. Ice Rains. But it's a pretty confusing team. Doesn't have a lot of synergy, which puts it so low. I think it's trying to do two different things and doesn't really work either way.
We tried looking at the team and it kind of seemed like you were trying to do almost 3 or 4 things at once, really. You've got like a good team in there somewhere with also a hail and a rain team around it. It's kind of strange.
I think you really try to go for it. He has all Ninetales with screens. He has good hazards actually with Lego and Gobalion.
He's got Kieran Black, which is always a fantastic mod.
Yeah, but it doesn't really benefit from the hail either. So it's a pretty confusing team. We really try to work around how to improve it. I think like a ground type would definitely improve it, an electric type, a grass type. But overall, I think the best way to improve it is to get rid of one of the rains. Because there's simply not a way to actually completely go with one single one right now. Like a whole team build around it. There's still Swampert Mega free, I think, right now. You could go for that.
Yeah, there's a few mods. You've got Swampert Mega, you've got Ludicolo, Kingdra. There is options there, and you can't make it work.
Definitely. But I think for now, what you have to do is to decide which route you want to go on. Because this doesn't really work. Especially like you have Volcanion there. Volcanion that really likes to fire off those fire moves. Especially when you need to get rid of those for ice types. You need to get rid of steel types for the ice types. As well as Beartic being there. Beartic's not that great. When you could have used that for a different position on the team, maybe a grass type or something. So we're definitely gonna see how we can improve that. Okay, on to the next team. We have Xshimp 219 from the Fort Myers Flygons. He builds with Tapu Fini, but kind of suffers from own terrain. He has Fini, Salamence who doesn't benefit from the terrain because it's flying above the ground. It's kind of weakened by it as well. Because Dragon is actually its only stab it can reliably use as well. Unlike Charizard X, who doesn't even need it. It's kind of hurt by that. Other than that, you also have Celebi, you can set status mons. You have stuff like Fagricus, who has T-Spikes, but doesn't really benefit from that. But like there are some good points about this team. Raikou is really solid here. I think Landorus with Z can be really good. Toxicroak is actually a pick I really like here on this team. But really you need to find a way so that monsters like Salamence aren't hindered by Tapu. So right now I don't think there are any good fairy types available. But you could just, I don't know, go with a different dragon maybe. Also your speed tiers are kind of I think if you had webs it would definitely improve. Maybe grab like Masquerain or something.
Yeah, I mean he does have Mega Sharpedo, which does help out a little bit, but it is kind of dependent on some outside factors as well. Yeah. Actually,
and
speaking of Mega
even Mega
Sharp, yeah,
Sharpedo.
sorry. Speaking of Mega Sharpedo, that's actually one of the few things it does benefit Finny from, at least. It's
Yeah.
because it prevents status, which is always useful.
Mhm. Mhm. Even Mega Sharpedo enjoys webs, in my opinion,
Mm.
because it then really nothing outspeeds it. You also have Celebi, Metagross, and Cofagrigus, all three who are weak to Ghost type moves. Because you don't have a normal type, because Sharpedo is kind of the only thing that deals with that,
And
which
even
is
then,
not
you're
all too
not going to
great.
want to bring that in on many Pokemon if you can help it.
No, no, definitely not. Also, you don't have any U-turn or Volt switches apart from Raikou, of course. Raikou is already really fast, so you're
And
not gonna get in
Landorus.
Mega Shark for free.
Landorus could also do that.
Yeah, right. But like the thing is that if you do get Mega Shark in that way, it's gonna take a hit because they're
Yeah,
so
yeah.
fast.
You want slow turners.
Yeah, basically Mega Sharpedo is always gonna come in on a hit or when someone is dead, which isn't
Pretty much, yeah, as a revenge killer.
Mhm. Mhm. I do like Metagross with the Z move though. I think it's been a really defensive one in our draft league, so it's gonna be interesting. Um, like on paper, Tapu Fini, Salamence, and Metagross is really good. If it were like pre-Marina, this team would be a lot better. But that's already taken. So fortunately,
Yeah.
unless you made that trade with whoever has it, I don't remember. Um, yeah, you're gonna be stuck there.
Yeah, there are
But
one or two fairies they're available, you can benefit from, like Gardevoir or Comfy, but they all do different things, so it's like something you're gonna have
yeah,
to think about, I think.
yeah. I think we could maybe even like, yeah, I wouldn't say drop Celebi for Gardevoir, but in theory you could have two fairy types. Um,
It's possible,
just so
yeah.
that you could, yeah, just so that Salamence would always be hindered. Um, okay, on to the next team.
Which is
We have,
Axelraid with
go
the
ahead.
Minnesota Betic.
Yes. This is a pretty solid team. A really good Megaladia's Heatran core. Um, it's not incredibly offensive, um, but it's definitely decent enough. Um, Drapion with the Z move is definitely interesting. I'm curious to see what it goes for. Um, he has Kamala and Dhelmise who both can benefit from Trick Room, which Megaladias does have, but I don't see it using it very often. But it would be interesting to see. Aromatisse, Swish Passion is really helpful here, I think. Crocodile is solid here as well. With its Moxie, it can definitely be a threat. What do you think, Jayem?
I think this is a kind of team where basically every Pokemon in it is solid. Like, there isn't a single Pokemon here that's like below a 6 out of 10 in my opinion. Like, I think everything in
No,
here is pretty good.
I
Drapion
agree.
is I think, a pretty good Z move user. It can boost up and has got quite a large array of techs it can use.
Mm-hmm.
Waterium Z, I
Mm-hmm.
think, is quite a popular one.
Yeah,
Um,
with
maybe, well, what did I write about? It's got a couple of things that can work with. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
yeah, yeah. I think overall this team is solid. Yeah. Definitely curious to see how it will go. It doesn't really have like a big threat that carries the team, so we can definitely go a lot of ways while building. That's always a good thing. It's not too predictable. I'll say that much. Okay, on to the next team. We have misterfloops with the Manitoba Machamps. I really like this team. It's a Mega Garchomp team with the Sand Setter. It's very well built around it as well, with Bronzong, with Crobat. Um, what else is there? There's Azumarill, who can also really benefit from Bronzong being there. Overall, I think this team is really solid. I'm pretty curious to see what it will do. What do you think, Jane?
Well, looking at this team, as I said before, it's really solid. The one thing I would watch out for is offensive ghost types, because your only switching for that is Weavile, and that does not take hits well at all. You've got a few things weak to it. You've got Bronzong, Delta Fox, Doublade. I think that's all of them. But you don't really have a whole lot that can actually take it. So something like Chandelure, if it's in the right situation, could cause some serious damage to this team. But aside from that, it's a good team. It's very, very good.
Yeah, and I do like that he saw that he had that weakness. So he fixed it with Virizion, kind of, at least a dark type weakness.
Yeah, that's there.
But yeah, you need to patch up that ghost weakness, so definitely.
Yeah,
I think Rotom Wash here definitely provides some really good support as well. Being able to will-o-wisp things and everything. I think overall it's a really solid team. Speed tier is also really solid. I think between 50 and 86 there's a lot of leeway. But overall it's pretty solid, good speed tiers. It's gonna be really curious to see how Nick Garchomp does in Sand, because we haven't really seen that yet.
Yeah, but I think on paper it could be a really, really good team.
No, definitely. There's a lot of options to go for. This is WinCon. It's always good. I think even Granville can be threatening. He has a lot of coverage, Granville, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, do you take the next team?
The next one is Thorazak with the Jersey City Jellicents. Server veteran Thoro returns as the king of the Pringles by not even having the Mon his team is based on, losing several million points right out of the gate. Instead, he's gone for a pretty damn chunky team there, as you can see there. You've got some really, really fat Pokemon like Mega Venusaur, Porygon 2, and other mons that benefit from as well, like Incineroar, Starmie in some situations, and obviously Skarmory, which is the fattest bird out there, I think. It looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, I agree. Originally I put this team a bit lower, just because I thought it was too bulky. If that makes sense. Because like Mimikyu and Zygarde 10 are like the only really offensive mons that push through it. Of course, they have C moves to help them with that. But yeah, it's definitely a really bulky team. And Mega Venusaur x Skarmory is so good. They really cover each other really well.
Yeah.
And Conkeldurr, of course, we have seen it be a really, really threatening Pokemon.
Yeah, Conkeldurr I think is going to be one of the main offensive presences in this team. Like, I think that's probably where all the damage is going to come from. Other than that, you've got like sort of slightly niche picks like Sudowoodo, which can technically do quite a lot of damage in the right circumstances, but those situations are going to be very few and far between.
Yeah, probably just going to be Kasap, sturdy, yeah.
But it's interesting to see, at the very least.
Oh, definitely. I think Porygon 2 can also be a threat if he gets the right download. Can be tough to take down, definitely. There's also kind of a speed jump between 96 and 115. Usually you have there 108 or something in your team. This does lack. Apart from that, you have some really nice spikes as well from like Selgor and Skarmory, actually both. So it's gonna be a really tough team to take down before it takes you down.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm excited to see what Thoro's going to do with it. It looks like a fun team.
Yeah, Thor is always done pretty well with these type of teams, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay, on to the next one. Jayem, go ahead.
Which is the Huthwaite Heracross, coached by Dreamie Heart. So, what's Huthwaite's Heracross about? It's got Megalophony, which is one of the first things you notice about the team, and that's kind of where the linchpin is. It's a strong team with that in there, and it's also got Tapu Bulu and various other things which can make use of that. I'm kind of dancing around the point here, and I think the main point around this team is the webs provided by Galvantula, because there's a lot of mons that can make use of the webs. They've got Bulu, as I mentioned before, Reuniclus, Haxorus. They can all make use of it, and they can all hit pretty damn hard. And you've also got other things like Klefki, which is fantastic support Pokemon. Gligar, very, very hard to break down. Good rocks as per usual. It's got Tentacool as well, which is always nice. The only things that kind of concern me about this team is that Swoobat seems to be kind of there for no reason. I'm not entirely sure why it's there. Because you've already got Psychic, and I suppose you don't have Flying Stab, but then Swoobat isn't really known for that anyway. I mean, more power too if you can make it work, but yeah. What do you think?
I think that it's definitely a really solid team. I think Klefki brings a lot of good support. Screens with Thunderwave, with all that. It has defog too, so we can really weaken those other teammates. It can spike up as well. I think Tentacruel bringing Toxic Spikes is really good. And then you have Reuniclus, who can be the really slow Pokemon, so the other team can just go for Trick Room of their own. But yeah, I do agree that Swoobat is definitely kind of weird here. I don't think it should be on your team. I just can't see whoever bringing it over Reuniclus, even though it's really fast. It's also really bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it does have a
think
small niche it can fulfill with stored power, but that's really the
simple Calm Mind, yeah.
only thing I can think about for it.
Yeah, and people will know that too. So. Or maybe you can do something different with it, of course, but we'll see.
Yeah, if you can make it work, more power to you.
Yeah, definitely. I also think that this team could use another flying resistance, though. When you have Megalopony and Tapu Bulu, those two really could use anything more than Klefki. Do have Galvantula, but that's usually just going to be focus dash webs, I think. So maybe look into that when you drop Zubat, or don't drop Zubat, who knows. You do have really good removal as well, with Tentacruel, with Cryogonal, with Gligar,
With Klefki.
and Klefki even, yeah.
Yeah, which kind of brings the question of why Cryogonal's there, because you already have so much removal anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I do think there's another web team coming up, or we have already seen it, I don't remember. This one definitely is also good without webs. When you have Hexorus, when you have Megalopony. So you don't have to bring it every week, which can be really good. Now, the next scene, we have Mysterious Toast, coach of the Lunar Base. Go ahead, Jayem.
So, the main thing about this team would be Celesteela, as it's usually the main thing in any team. But there's a few things to go along with it as well. Mega Tyranitar pairs quite well with it, and you've also got Mew, which is just fantastic in draft because it can do literally anything. You've got other ones like Rotoma Heat, Vaporeon, which is a fantastic cleric. Regular Tornadus is pretty good. Gengar does its job pretty well. Whimsicott's an okay fairy, in my opinion. It's not the best, but it's pretty good at what it does.
Yeah.
If you want a Mon
it's good at support.
Yeah, to act as like a support Mon and occasionally fire off a Moonblast, Whimsicott's your thing. We've also got some slightly more interesting picks. You don't see Druddigon all that often. I can see that working. It's not your typical dragon. I mean, it is your typical dragon, but you don't see it very often, so it could be interesting to see what it does. It's got some nice tech like Glare, which is always good.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and
it's actually pretty strong too. So
yeah, and the other thing is Frogadier, which I assume is there for spike support.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Frogadier here. I think it's got a 97 speed here, so it can definitely get a few up. But other than that, I don't see it doing much.
Yeah, it's very fragile, so it's not really good a Violite user.
Yeah, because I think he went for Weezing and Frogadier for the spikes and the T-spikes. But I think it would be better to just look for a mon that can do both. I'm sure there's something available still that can do that.
I'm pretty sure Roselia is available. That would do both.
Yeah, exactly. Because now you just got two not that great mons. Weezing is a really good defensive mon, though. I'll give it that. But you also have Druddigon, really good, and Vaporeon. I do have to give this team props for having Tornadus and Gengar, or both like really good revenge killers against the mons that take down Mega Tyranitar, like fighting types, etc. I think overall this seems like really well built around Celesteela, and it's definitely going to be a threat.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it works. Something else I noticed when looking at it is that outside of Steela and Tyranitar, the only significant physical breaker is Druddigon. And Druddigon's a bit questionable whether it can do the things you need a dragon to do. So
I've ran physical tornadoes before. It gets some moves, but
I suppose it does.
Not really
Superpower, really bulk up, yeah. So
yeah. You could definitely go with another physical.
Yeah.
But
just being aware of sort of the pressure.
Mew could be anything. Yes, sort of.
I'm also interested to see how well you do with Gengar, because it's actually my favourite Pokemon.
Kango is really fun to use in draft, so I'm really curious to see how it does here. Really strong. I think other than that, Vaporeon is a really good pick here. Being able to Wish Pass for Celesteela, it's going to be really good and really hard to deal with. Even though they both share that electric type weakness, he also has what's it called? Oh wait, he doesn't actually have a ground type, does he?
I don't think he does. No.
Oh, maybe just look into that, because that could be useful for Celesteela. Yeah. I think if you drop any of those bottom mounts and pick up Roselia, there should definitely be a place for a ground type there, if you do want it anyway, because you do have a few fire resistant Pokemon. So maybe electric resistant Pokemon. I mean, maybe you don't even want it. But so that's our thoughts. I think Whimsicott also having Memento is really good. For Mega Tyranitar to set up and everything. But apart from that, it's a pretty solid team. So I'm curious to see how it goes. How people deal with Celesteela here. Okay, on to the next one. Johnny D with the New York Nidoking. Go ahead, Jayem.
So, New York Nido-Kings. The first thing you see when you look at this team is the two slightly memey picks at the end, Mr. Mime and Aaron. Interesting choice. I wouldn't personally go for it, but then again, I'm not adventurous, so if you can make it work, as per usual, more power to you. Aside from that, though, you've got some pretty decent mons there. You've got Thunderous, Scolipede as also your Z captain, Arcanine, Primarina, Registeel, regular Latios, Kartana, Cloyster, and I really rate Cloyster, so that's a good pick, and Mega Heracross, which are all very, very solid Pokemon. So it kind of sort of hangs a question of why, with this very, very solid team, you've got two really not kind solid Pokemon.
But I think not looking at that, we've got a really solid team here. I think he has a lot of ways he can really win. His spit tiers are kind of questionable with like 109, 110, and 111.
And 112.
And then 112 for his highest Pokemon. It's kind of weird to see. But you do have Speed Boost Scolipede, of course. And you do have Extreme Speed for Arcanine and Cloyster. But I think apart from that, like Registeel is really good here on this team. Thunder is also always a big threat.
Yeah.
And I think Mega Heracross is also especially good on this team, being able to break those seals.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really Mega Heracross work on it. Having Primarina, Arcanine, and Cortana, right? Having that as a Fire Grass Water Core is really good. It's going to be really interesting. But I do think that you need to drop Mr. Mime and Aaron and think like, okay, if I could use anything else, like a hazard set or anything, could be good. Or maybe a hazard removal. You don't have too much of that. Maybe go with that because it kind of stands out. You really don't need Mr. Mime here. It hurts me to say that.
Yeah. One other thing I noticed about this team, in fact, just now, is that between Arcanine, Cloyster, Registeel, and Kartana, it has really, really high defense, like obscenely high defense.
Intimidate from Arcanine as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be interesting to see how that works.
And he even has a special tank in Arena. So
yeah, absolutely. So overall, solid team. It's going to be interesting to see how it works. So, the next team is the California Inkay, coached by Pinknightmare. Now, first thing you see when we look at this team, Mega Diancie, Jirachi, Dragonite. That Fairy Dragon Steel core is the stuff that dreams are made of. That is such an exceptionally good core, in my opinion. Like, that is 3 very, very high tier Pokemon. Dragonite probably isn't the best dragon around, but the other two come pretty damn close to being the best fairy in Steel, in my opinion. And aside from that, you've got some very, very good Pokemon like Milotic, Saurina, Salazzle, Alolan Persian, which works fantastically as a Z captain, Xurkitree as well, also really good, and Palisand, which can be kind of a dark horse, does pretty well in a lot of situations. The lower picks, probably not what I would personally go for, but it looks to me, once again, like an exceptionally solid team.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of good teams in Fan Race. And I think that while you don't have the best team for Dragonite exactly, all the other mons are gonna shine. Like Salazzle with its setup, Circuitry with its setup and its good speed, and it's your Z captain as well. It's gonna be really good. I think, especially because they both work with each other. The only thing that really blocks them is ground type. So you have Serena, you have Dragonite who's immune to ground type moves, of course. I think it's gonna be a really tough one to prepare for. Um, it's gonna be really fun. Milotic is also a really good Pokemon. It's one of the best bulky waters by far. And Jirachi is just bringing some really good support for Dragonite and all those other Pokemon. And you have Alola Persian who can heal all your setup sweepers back up. It's gonna be really solid. I think that Hitmonchan is probably the weakest here. Just because it's Hitmonchan. Hitmonchan isn't like known for being all too powerful. But it could be a rapid spin, of course. Like you could bring it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean,
But I
Hitmonchan has surprises in the past, and it does have a pretty good ability in Iron Fist and some pretty decent coverage, so it can
does.
work in the right hands.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't see it being used this way here.
Probably not in this team, no. I think most of its bases are
No.
already covered.
I think you could also benefit from more hazards here, just because you have all that setup offense.
Yeah,
I
you're
could really use that.
mostly leaning on Palossand and Jirachi for hazards there, really, I think.
Yeah, and it's only Stealth Rock, so maybe look
Yeah,
into that.
yeah. What is interesting about this team is that aside from Dragonite, there is absolutely zero defog on this team. It's got 2 rapid spinners.
That's
So,
right.
and obviously Dragonite is not going to be the one getting rid of hazards most of the time. They're the ones getting rid of
Yeah.
hazards for it. So, maybe that's something you want to look at. I don't think it makes much of a difference, but it depends if you want to try and get rid of opponents' screens, if that's something you want to consider. But then again, having rapid spin over defog is good for keeping your own hazards up, so it kind of goes both ways, really. Still,
Yeah,
if there's
but
a
I
good...
think if you
sorry.
want to keep only Stealth Rock, you should look into getting a defogger because you're not gonna have it stack anyway. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's about it with this team. I really like Jirachi with splashing because it can be both offensive and defensive, but I think here it really will excel defensive.
Mm.
Yeah, it's gonna be really solid. Having both Jirachi and Milotic as offensive search-ins, they both like really work well with each other. So it's gonna be really tough to
Yeah, especially with a
as
Alolan
well.
Persian firing off the Z-Pying shot. That is going to be really
Yeah,
fun to see.
or even a regular powering shot, being able to help those circuitry and that Salazzle, it's gonna be really good.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I'm definitely curious what this team is gonna do. Up next, we have the Holland Heracross with Alice as the main coach. Go ahead, Jayem.
So, the self-proclaimed queen is back, and she's brought with her an absolutely frightening team consisting
Yes.
of a lot of extremely powerful Pokemon. And Simisear. Simisear is also there. But
Yep.
yeah, we've got
Very
Tyranitar, Zapdos, Mai, Bay, Clefable, Ferrothorn, Gliscor, Mega Slowbro, Greninja, Superior, Noivern. These are all extremely good Pokemon. And so
Yes.
getting them all on one team, takes some doing.
I think that even Sims here excels here just because it has a good speed here. It does have nasty plot, so maybe you can, do something with it. I'll be curious to see how that goes. But I think you have great removal. You have Ferrothorn, Clefable, which is going to be really tough to take down. And you have Mega Slowbro as well. And then you have like Zapdos and Superior, who's like really threatening here. Especially for those ground types, I think. Those ground and rock types, those bulky waters. I think overall this is a really nice team. Going to be hard to revenge kill certain Pokemon like Superior, just because you can easily just swap them out into one of your defensive mons.
Yeah, and there's
I do think,
one hell of a defensive core there as well. Like, you got Zapdos,
yes.
Clefable,
Oh my god.
Ferrothorn, Gliscor. Those are all really good.
hmm hmm definitely a team to be reckoned with. I think that there's kind of a speed gap between 60 and 95 there that could definitely be taken advantage of. So watch out for that. You're definitely gonna want to run some speed off on Clyde's core just for that reason. But I think overall this team is really solid, and I think it's gonna be really interesting to see how this goes. It's definitely strong. Anything else you want to add?
Not really. I think that pretty much covers it. One thing to note is just Superior is there, and that has the potential to change a game in an instant. So
yes,
this is going to be
especially
once again a really interesting team to watch. There's been, like, honestly, on the whole, Jen's draft has been really, really good.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree there. There's been some really good teams. There are going to come even better teams. Like the best teams we had so far, I think. Just our draft league. So on to the next one. Go ahead, Jayem.
So we've got the Home Park Honchkrow, coached by George. George was here last season with the same team, so we're going to see what he can do this season. So we've got Landorus Therian, Mega Pinsir, Empoleon, Victini, Shaman, Slurpuff, Z Alakazam, Z Bishop, Dragouge, and Togedemaru. This is, once again, as I keep repeating myself, a really solid team.
Yes.
Like, especially like that pairing of Landorus Therian and Empoleon, I think they work off of each other really, really well. Like, Empoleon come in and take all the attacks intended for Lando. Lando can take fighting type attacks intended for Empoleon, and ground types, obviously. Empoleon can get rid of hazards. Lando can just work alongside it. They can pivot off each other. They're a really, really good pairing.
Yep. I really love this team. I think it's really strong. I think Shaman and Victini are both so good. Especially Victini here, being able to get rid of those steel types that Pokemon like Slurpuff trying to set up can definitely deal with. And you have Dragalge and Togedemaru, two good low tier picks. I think Dragalge can definitely be a threat with its adaptability as well. You can even go for Trick Room with Victini. You'd really have a lot to go with. One thing I will say is that your speed tiers kind of rely on those webs. So maybe look into that because you have not much about above 105 except for Alakazam. And of course Unburden Slurpuff, but so that's the only thing I will say. Apart from that, like Empoleon works really well with Mega Pinsir, Empoleon being one of the best defoggers, and as well like Lindoris doing a lot with that. It's gonna be a really tough team to deal with, a tough team switching. And Bishop also being there for those defoggers, gonna be really strong, really threatening. It does also have that C move option, which is gonna be really interesting to see. I haven't actually seen that before. So it's gonna be really, really fun. I'm looking forward to seeing team battle.
Yeah, we're saying this for a lot of the teams, aren't we?
Yeah, but I mean, some really good teams.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's going to be a fun season. These are all really capable. I think any team in like the top 12 could win it. That's how good they are.
Yep, definitely. I think they all have a lot of options to go for as their ring con, so they're all pretty unpredictable in that, which really just helps their teams a lot. They don't really have a single Pokemon they rely on, so yeah, it's going to be a really good season, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So, moving on to the Seattle Seal. They are coached by ultragoomba, and the first thing you see when you look at that team is that they have all of the hazard bases covered. You've got Arachnid and Fortress, and they are laying out every single hazard you can think of, and that is going to be interesting to see how other teams deal with it.
Yep, definitely. I think this is yet another web scene. We've seen a lot of it. But this team is probably the best one. Just because it has that Garchomp, it has that Swellow, who's so good with webs up. Nothing outspeeds it. And you also have Blacephalon, a special mon that can really benefit of those webs. You have Mega Gardevoir, who's a big threat. And paired with webs, you also have those spikes and really tear a team down one bit by bit, making it so that a lot of Pokemon can just come in and revenge kill and revenge kill and revenge kill. This team is going to be really, really tough to deal with if you let it set up webs.
Yeah, like I think looking at the team he's got with it as well, because like their defensive powerhouses they've got, like Araquanid and Voracus, they play off each other, and Electros is also there to play off of the flying type attacks.
And Mandibus, yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I'm just focusing on that trio in particular because Electros can take the flying type attacks intended for Araquanid, so that's going to be interesting. And obviously Araquanid has that water bubble which halves the fire damage, so that benefits Fortress. It's all really coming together. This is a team that works very well together, I think.
Yep. I think this team's really well built. I think Electros also providing that slow volt turn is going to be really good. Weakering Pokemon so they can Blacephalon and just come in and kill them. This team is going to be really, really strong. It also has 2 separate spike setters, Roserade and Fortress. So really, those 2 Pokemon can do whatever they want, basically. So it's going to be pretty unpredictable in that part as well. So it's just another team that's going to be really fun to look at, basically. I think that Araquanid also is just such a strong Pokemon with its water bubble ability, being able to break a lot of things. Yeah. Anything else to add?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. Oh, Passimian having Defiant.
Passimian, yes.
That is a great incentive to stop people from using Defog. And when you've got hazards like this, you're going to want as many of those as you can get. So I think this, as I said before, this team works really well as a unit. Like, it's got all the bases covered.
Yeah, and I think that, again, even without webs, you have stuff like Scarf, Garchomp, Scarf, Blacephalon, and Swellow, who are like all really, really fast. So this team also just does have really solid speed tiers. Good enough that you don't need webs, in my opinion. So it's going to be a really, really good team. Yeah, on to the next one.
Alright, so we have Az and the Dragon's Den. Az is lying to us, he only has 1 dragon, so it's not much of a den really. But aside from that, it is, once again, a pretty damn solid team. What have I got? Okay, so you've got Florges, Hydreigon, Mega Scizor. That is a fantastic Fairy Dragon Steel Core. Probably the 2nd best in gens, I think. They all work really well together. Florges is one of my favourite fairies. It can do pretty much everything you want a fairy to do, I think. Hydreigon is really, really fun to use. It's a good Z user, but he's got a couple of other good Z users already, so it still works really well without the Z roll as well. Fantastic Scarf user.
Yeah, I think he has some really good defensive pivots that can really help his team too. He has that low tier Vileplume and Miltank synergy. Vileplume, being resistant to those fighting type moves. Miltank resisting that fire and that ice. This is just going to be a really, really good team. I think Infernape breaking those dark types, being able to break those steel types. Florges being able to heal back up Infernape after it uses a Flare Blitz, being able to heal back up Hydreigon when it's scarfed. This team is going to be really tough to deal with. Yeah, I think the weakest point of this team is Sandslash, but I do get that you have it there just for Stealth Rocks and for Rapid Spin. But you could definitely improve this team even more if you were to find something that replaces Sandslash's role while also providing like more offensive pressure, I think.
Yeah, I think with the amount of rock support you have already, Sandslash is probably a little bit unnecessary. But aside from that, the entire team is solid. Like, I can't really find any fault in the rest of it.
Nope. I think this team is definitely threatening. I think Mega Scizor is really good. I think that it's really gonna excel in its job. Overall, this team even has like really good speed tiers. There's really not much to say about it other than good job, basically. Okay, on to the next one. I think we're going into the top 3 here.
Yes, this is the top 3, and this is the Detroit Reggies with Andrew, I think is just his name. Now he wins bonus points by actually having the mon he's named after in his team. It's the worst mon, but baby steps. So, we've got, obviously, Tapu Koko and Hawlucha. Famous terrain Hawlucha's combo. It works, you know what it does. It's predictable, but it's still hard to deal with.
I think this team is really, really threatening. It has a lot of offensive pressure, but also those really bulky mons, Tangrowth with Slow King, just being able to regenerate their health back. Then you also have Ditto on this team, being able to pressure those setup mons. Then you have Mega Absol. I'm really curious to see how that goes. And as you said, it does have Regigigas, with a Z move even. So that's gonna be interesting. I definitely can see that coming every once in a while. Darmanitan also such a good Pokemon. Great offensive pressure. Scizor, Koko, and Kyurem is a really good Dragon Steel Fairy Core too. Overall, this is a really good team. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, that's pretty much covers all of it. That's I guess we haven't talked about Tangrowth. Tangrowth, it provides a lot of defensive backbone for this team. It's a really, really good Pokemon. Obviously with that Regenerator and that giant defensive stat. But yeah, aside from that, once again, it's a really good team.
I think there's one more thing. I think that team has a lot of grounded Pokemon apart from Hawlucha, so it can be worn down with spikes and stealth rocks. So you're gonna have to watch out for that.
Yeah.
You do have Scizor and Koko to defog, but those are both grounded, of course. So
yeah,
that's the only thing we can find, really.
One more thing I might add, there's a lot of Pokemon like Nidoking and Darmanitan that just about miss out on hitting those really, really big speed tiers like plus 100. So web support would have been nice on this team, but I can't see how you'd be able to drop anything from that and have a stronger team overall. I mean, obviously you could drop
Regigigas.
Well, yeah. Regigigas, but what is then that you can replace it with?
Yeah.
Dupida, maybe? Exactly. But
Masquerain, maybe?
Kricketot?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think you should keep Regigigas just because you did it now.
Well, you have to now, can't you? Also, you made it a Z capture. You don't want to waste 2 FAs.
Exactly. You kind of screwed yourself there, buddy.
I don't think you had any other options. I mean, you can't exactly like make Ditto a Z captain, can you? How would that even work?
That's true. That's true. And you went with Koko, so you had no option really.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. On to the second last team.
Second highest, yep. And this is the Alberta Tyrantrum with Locoghoul. Holy moly, what a team this is. This is
oh my god.
A very, very good team. Latias, Sylveon, Mega Steelix. God damn. Latias is like already one of the best ones. Sylveon, probably, I'd say, the second best fairy. Second best really non-mega fairy overall, I'd say. Outside of the Tapus. Okay, I'm adding too many things onto it. Sylveon's good, okay?
Yeah, it's a good bond. Is good.
It does good cleric support. It's a good healer. It can,
especially on this team.
Yeah, it's an incredible offensive presence as well. With that hyper voice, very, very powerful.
Yeah, I think this team is really, really good. I think that Zeraora here shines as well, with having that high speed here, helping out kind of the slower part of the team because it isn't all too fast after that. I think that Terrakion is really strong, and you have Manaphy, a really, really, really good special breaker. This team also has really good bulk in Mega Steelix, Amoonguss, and Moltres. And Sylveon, of course. I think that Moltres is actually going to be really good here, just because it's the only Pokemon that's actually weak to Stealth Rocks. So maybe you're not going to see that much. I think that lower tier, you also have some really good picks. You have Ursaring, who can be really, really good with Guts ability. Then you have Spiritomb, who of course is doing what Spiritomb does. Then you have Hitmontop, getting rid of those hazards.
I think it also provides Intimidate support, which is really always good to have.
Yeah. I think that Sylveon, being able to provide that wish support to Terrakion, to Manaphy, to Mega Steelix, is going to be really hard to break this team. If you don't get rid of Sylveon, I think this team can get rid of you.
Pretty much, yeah. And so, without further ado,
the final team.
We move on to our number 1 pick. Drumroll, please. It's Glorious Leader. Cradily
Oh,
with the Colorado
it
Rock and
did.
Roller. Yeah, once again, it's a really, really, really good team. It's
The
another
best.
exceptional Fairy Dragon Steel Core. You've got Zygarde, Excadrill, and Togekiss. That is fantastic.
This team
They're
is so
all,
good.
yeah, they're all fantastic Pokemon in their own right. They would fit into any team, and they're all here in the same team, and they can do extreme amounts of damage. And you've
I'm
got the
going to
other
say
one.
this right now. If Cradily doesn't make it into Origins with this team, it's not the Mon's fault. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
So, but yes, this is a challenge, Cradley. If you don't get into Origins, we know
It's
whose
your
fault
fault.
it is.
Yeah.
It's hacks. It's
uh,
always hacks.
yeah, sure, Cradily, sure. I think this team is so good. Zygarde, Volcarona, so strong. And you have Excadrill providing that steel type, providing that rapid spin, those stealth rocks. I think everything that Zygarde and Volcarona don't break. Mega Manectric covers. The team also has wish support, right? Wish support from Togekiss, which is really good. Has spike support from Chestnut. Uh, the only thing that really,
Magic bounce from Espeon.
yep, I was about to say,
Oh,
the only thing that really stops this team is webs, and Espeon got that covered, so no worries. Uh, this team is so incredibly good. I asked Jayem to bring up something that could break this team. Go ahead, Jayem.
I had to think quite a lot about this. Brian issued me a challenge.
Yep,
Eventually, I came up with strong water types. If Chestnut is dealt
very strong
with,
water types.
yeah, like strong breakers. So we're talking
Mm-hmm.
very, very few Pokemon, like Gyarados, Volcanion maybe. Actually, Volcanion would probably do pretty good against this team, but shush.
Yeah, but even then, Excadrill can just
Yeah,
go
absolutely.
through.
Like
Yeah,
you need a lot of circumstances to get in the right place, but
yeah,
a boosted Gyarados, I think, could
yeah.
probably get through this team pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
even then, it still needs to boost past Mega Manectric. So
Yeah,
there's so many things standing in the way of victory in this team.
yeah.
It's going to be
And you have
extremely hard
Sneasel
to
as
break
well.
down.
I think that the only one that isn't top tier here is Regirock.
And
But,
even
you
yeah,
know,
and even then, it's still
even
there. It
then,
can do things.
yeah, exactly. This team is just gonna, bring anything anything any week, and it's gonna do good. Um, I think that if you just bring Zygarde, Volcarona every week, you're basically gonna win. This team is so incredibly good. It has some really, really good support for its setup mons. It has screens as well. This team, man, this team is powerful. And then we have Volcarona with as a Z captain as well, able to break those water types, stand for it. And you have Espeon as a Z captain, which I love. I'm really curious to see how she uses that one. Um, yeah, this is a threatening team. I'm glad I'm not in generations for this one.
Yeah,
I'll tell
this
you that.
generations looks like an absolute bloodbath. I have to say, we've got a
Mm-hmm.
really high chance of about 3 of the 4 divisions just being completely stuffed
Hell,
full of amazing teams.
uh, it's it's stacked. This season is gonna be really really fun.
Yeah, all I can say is whoever makes it up to Origins bloody well deserves it.
Oh, 100%. Like this is the season of all seasons generation.
Absolutely.
Um,
We've got a lot of new blood this season, and I've got to say they have really brought it. It's going to be interesting.
yeah, I think that everyone brought their in game, and even those that didn't can definitely still patch it up. I think that we've got a lot of unique teams, actually a bunch that rely on webs, but even then, those teams can usually work around not having those webs in case of magic bounce or anything like that. I think there's a lot of good teams that really support their threats. They really support their setup mons to break through other teams. It's going to be a really, really tough season, and I'm very, very excited about it. Anything else you want to add?
that pretty much covers it. I think it's gonna be a fun season. Very, very fun.
Yep.
That top four is what I think are gonna make it up to Origins. But we shall see. It literally is
Yeah,
anybody's game. Like even like the
definitely.
two teams that we severely criticize, they can still make FAs and become very
Yeah,
strong teams in their own right.
exactly. That's why we criticize them. Uh, this we quite the battle. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch and a lot of fun to play. Um, People are gonna have to be original with their teams. Um, yeah, it's gonna be a really good season. I hope to see you then. Bye everyone.
Bye bye.